over to someone who is doing the gig economy full time, the conversation is a little different. Is actually is pretty different because someone who does the gig economy full time, um, you kind of have a you're dealing with a different type of recipe, um, because this is where your income's coming from. So there is no steady baseline income. But one thing we've learned in previous videos is that we can create a baseline income through the gig economy. And how do we do that? So the best way to do it is every time we're going to use four platforms. We're going to use four platforms. We're going to use Uber, Lyft, um, a food delivery service of your choice, and Shipped or Instacart, whatever one you want to use. So every time you go out, it is your personal responsibility to not only make money, obviously, but to monitor and identify every opportunity that you get to make money. So, what I mean by that is if you go out on a Tuesday night, and you know my love for Tuesdays, and you realize that you can make $50 every time you go out for 3 hours or 2 hours or whatever the case may be, then you need to write down Tuesday night when you're doing your weekly planning, Tuesday night, $50. Now, don't put the aggressive number. Use the number that is more of a conservative number because the conservative number is going to be your baseline. So if you normally hit 40 all the time, but every once in a while you get to 50, then let's use 40. And so forth and so on. You're going to do that every night. And you're going to do that every night that you work. And the reason why that's necessary to do that every time that you work is because now you're creating a baseline income. The reason for the baseline is because, and mind you, we're not going to use any peak time periods to create your baseline. We're going to use standard time. So if you're going out in the middle of the day, if you're doing Shipped, if you're doing the Instacart or a food delivery service, you take the baseline of what, some normal time periods during a day. It's kind of like your slower time periods, and we're using that as this is my base. So generally, if you do that and you're going out 5 days a week, you're going to come up with a base somewhere in the area, and this is just kind of forecasting, of about $300 to $400. And how did I get the base? Well, let's go through the days. So essentially what you're trying to do is you're trying to say on working 5 days a week, doing slower off-peak time periods, that you can make $60. $60, that's all you're trying to do. And I'll say, like, on a slower day like a Tuesday, you may only make 40, but on a busier day like Thursday, even during a slow period, you may make 80. So we're looking for $60 every single time you go out as a baseline on a slow time period. Now, we're going to throw in, and that includes, and that's going to be the sum of all of our platforms. So then we're going to go ahead and we're going to take the busy times. These are the prime time, everybody's going to the club or concerts or special event. We're going to take those times, and then those blocks of time. So if you go out Saturday night from 9 to 3 or whatever the case may be, what is your average that you make during that time period? Now, you have the data. You can go and you can look right into your Uber app or Lyft app and see the data. Now, the important thing is when you have that data, to use it. So if you see that from 9 to 3 in the morning, you make $200, then boom. And you know that that's your conservative amount. We want the conservative amount. 200, pencil in 200. So now we went from 300 as our base, 200 on that Saturday peak. Maybe, and then you fill out all of that information so that now you're building your day. And the key is, how much do you need to get to in order to make the numbers make sense? Don't look at these platforms as, when are they going to give me? we need to be smart about this. We need to look at what things we need to do in order to make the money. Now, one thing I've kind of stressed as well recently, is if you're on any of these service apps like doing tasks like TaskRabbit, things like that, whenever you're doing stuff, you need to be a documentation of the things you're doing. So if you're doing, creating different things, or assembling things, you take pictures, keep them in a scrapbook. We're trying to build relationships that can benefit us for ourselves. Don't let the platform force the money onto you. Now, there's nothing wrong with it, but it is also pretty nice to have somebody contact you and just say, hey, a friend of mine told me that you're really good at doing this. Can you do it for me? And instead of the platform getting their percentage, you're just keeping the whole amount. So again, let's kind of got off track there, but let's get back to the money on this. So we got our baseline of $300 a week. Now we went through and we picked out all of our more peak time periods and we started filling in the blanks. Now, here's where I always this is where it really gets dynamic. Take one of your now I want you to over forecast I want you to identify how much you're going to make. But I need it to be 15% more than what you need. So, how much you need to make in order to make sense, and that includes your bills and everything to make sense. It's like I got a job and it pays me $20 an hour. That's how much I need to do my fun and everything else. But I need you to come back and take 15% off. Okay? Take 15% off. Now, if that 15% equals maybe one of your busier days, your later nights, I want you to take that time and I want you to erase it off your schedule and I want you to take that time for yourself. Now, why do I say that? Because taking that time off the schedule is going to give you the rest you need so you don't burn out. I'll give you an example. When I used to do Uber, Lyft, and all my other platforms, that's all I did. I didn't do anything else. I did all my platforms. And during the football season, I would work. Well, actually, my regular schedule was I worked I didn't work Mondays and Wednesdays because they were really slow. Actually, I'm sorry. Initially, it was Monday and Tuesdays. And so I went Wednesday through Sunday. And that was my schedule. And I worked it and I really pushed and I realized, and I started re-looking at my schedule and was like, you know what? I'm making good money on Sunday, but I don't want to do this on Sunday. I don't want to deal with the football crowd. I don't want to, because football crowd is tricky. When they win, everybody's happy. When they lose, they're miserable and they are drunk and they're frustrated and everything else. So I said I didn't want to deal with it. I knew everywhere to be. I knew how to make my money. It was easy money. It was, I knew all that, but I didn't want to deal with it. Took Sunday off the board because I wanted to be with my family during that time. I just didn't want to deal with the nonsense. And I realized that I got more out of the platform. I wasn't warm because you got to remember, if you're working all night Friday, all night Saturday, and then you're going out for football on Sunday, that's early. And so that's where people start getting lower ratings. They start getting, irritated and frustrated and they get angry with the platform. So I want you to take 15% off the top, figure out that amount, take that dollar amount from where you would take, where one of your busy days are. And that's it. And that's how you kind of plan out your week. We're going to do more financial stuff. I really like doing financial stuff because, again, no one's doing this for charity. So we're really going to talk about that. We're going to get more into liabilities, what happens to you when you are in an accident, how the platforms cover you. We're going to talk about those kind of things. I think I want to make sure I get content that 6, 9, 12 months, 15 months, 2, 3, 4 years down the road should still be valid for you. So that's the kind of content I'm trying to make. So that's it for this week. I didn't want to go over the 20 minutes too long. We're pressing up against that. Um, just remember, Gig Essentials Podcast, subscribe, thumbs up, rate it on Apple Podcasts. It helps people find the podcast. 5 stars, please, just because it really brings people to attention, brings the podcast to people's attention. If you have questions about anything that I've said, or you want to see me kind of show it on like a screen sharing type situation, I am more than happy to do so. Hit me up in the comments, or you can email me directly at Batie, BAATIE, at gmail.com. You will notice that I will get back to you as soon as possible, as sometimes it's as soon as I see it, I'm there, I'll do it. Also, if you know a friend who can benefit from the information, definitely go ahead and let them know about the podcast as well. But until the next one, we're going to keep this going for season 4. Peace.